Heineke drops back, steps up, looking long. He's got a man into the hands of Antonio Vaughn, all alone at the 10, launching in the end zone. Touchdown, Old Dominion! Touchdown, Old Dominion! Touchdown, Old Dominion! Touchdown!
Good Monday morning to you and yours, or Monday afternoon, I should say. Here from beautiful Norfolk, Virginia, on this high noon Monday for the Brian Gardner Show with Mitchell Brown here on WODU.
We're about 2 for 8 with nice weather now.
Nice. Feels good out there. Wearing shorts, walking around, smiling. It's a good
Allergies?
day. Yeah. I got my first class today. We were supposed to watch like some sort of video and the sound wouldn't work. And my professor spent about 15 minutes trying to get it to work, and then she let us go.
That is beautiful.
I was so confused. I had my whole morning planned around. I was going to go to class, finish up, go grab a sandwich and come here. But then I had to go home and like eat something there. It threw me off. I don't know. I'd rather have it on Wednesday when I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah, that would be nice, huh?
Well, it's a busy Monday here. Of course, the national championship in the NC2A is today. Basketball for the men. The Louisville Cardinals will play the Michigan Wolverines. That's tonight. Busy weekend it was here in Hampton Roads, or really all around, as the Final Four went on Saturday. I believe, yes, that's Saturday. In the last week, Old Dominion hired a new basketball coach, Jeff Jones, formerly of American University. He's now the head basketball coach of Old Dominion University. We'll talk about that. Let's see. Old Dominion baseball was on the road. They swept the JMU Dukes, and their bats finally came alive after being dead for about 2 weeks, so that was nice.
Finally.
Yeah, it was good to see. Old Dominion lacrosse was home on Friday and Sunday. I called the game on Sunday. That was an experience. We'll talk about that later. But the Old Dominion Lady Monarchs, they lost 15-6 on Friday, 8-4 on Sunday, so that wasn't that good. We didn't like that. And locally in the professional ranks, the Norfolk Admirals had their last 2 home games of the season. I was at both of them, of course, as I've been at pretty much all the home games this year working, and they swept the set with I'm already blanking on who it was. This is Binghamton Senators. There it goes. And they're now tied for the 8th spot in the East for the playoff race, so they might sneak in, get a few more home games over at Scope. And baseball is back in Norfolk with the Norfolk Tides. They're playing again, too.
That's great to hear. My weekend consisted of being at a women's tennis match for ODU Senior Day.
Okay, you're going to have to talk about that.
Yeah.
You don't have to be right now, but we'll get to it
yeah.
before you leave. Because also Mitch is leaving at 12:50. You're gone. Yeah, you got what's some sort of
conduct meeting.
Oh, a conduct meeting.
Not for me. It's just the room.
Okay. All right. So Mitch is in trouble, and he's being replaced by a good friend of the show and the co-host of Maximum D. Max Venturo will stop by and take that seat around 1 o'clock.
I promise I'll be here next week.
Okay. And also we got good friend of mine, fellow broadcaster over at Virginia Tech, the student guy over there, Joey Trincali, will call in and talk baseball around 1 o'clock as well. So that's what we got on the show, but let's go ahead and jump in. I mean, of course, y'all, by the way, 757-683-4405 is the phone number. Tweet me at I'm Brian Gardner. Mitch is at MitchieB_93. And if you're Facebook friends, all that stuff, feel free to comment on the posts that make about the shows being on with your opinions, because we'll just go ahead and read them out that way, because we love your participation even though you're scared to call in. All right, let's jump in with the Final Four over this weekend of the National Basketball Championship in the NCAA going on tonight. And as I mentioned, as we were opening up, it's the Louisville Cardinals and the Michigan Wolverines, and these two teams Louisville beats the number 9 seed Wichita State, the Shockers, their Cinderella run that was really so quiet because of, I blame Florida Gulf Coast, but nobody seemed to care that a 9 seed got all the way to the Final Four. They're just like, oh, okay, well, they're not a 15 seed. But And then the other one was Michigan beating Syracuse. Both of them were close games, and I'll be honest, I didn't watch the first one, the Wichita State and Louisville game, because I was over at Scope. But Mitch, I understand you did, and I want to hear your thoughts on this.
It was really Wichita State's game to lose. They had Louisville against the ropes. They had got the lead up to as much as 11 or 13 at one point. And what I noticed was that as the game went on, they started to wilter. And, I just saw that Wichita State wasn't a 40-minute team. And if they don't have a big lead going into the last 10 minutes, then it's going to be trouble for them. So they had about an 8-point lead going into the last 5 minutes. And then you started to see, Louisville. Luke Hancock continued his heroics as he always does. Great defense. Peyton Siva and Russ Smith were also great. They went to the rim. They attacked. And that's exactly what Louisville needed, because they were taking a lot of jump shots and they were missing. So what I took out of the game, more importantly, was that Louisville is a team that can scrap to get a win. And that's exactly what they did on Saturday.
Louisville, number 1 overall seed in this tournament, the only 1 seed to make it to the Final Four and now to the national championship game, and a Final Four that included a 1 seed, a 9 seed, a 4 seed, and a 4 seed. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit bitter that it seems like the 1 seed now, that they're walking to the national championship, they're the favorite again. If this tournament that should be remembered for the upsets for Dunk City, for Wichita State quietly going to the Final Four, for my national champion pick, Georgetown losing in the first round, for all the parity, everything. If it turns out the number 1 overall seed wins it, I will be so disappointed. I'm going to go and say it. That just I really don't want that to happen. All right, I don't care about bias, whatever, and all that. We're just guys here talking about I don't want that to happen. Just I gotta throw it.
And I haven't been a fan of this Louisville team. They should have lost, but they found a way to win.
They should have lost to Wichita.
Yeah, they should have lost, and it just rubs me the wrong way. Wichita State should have finished that game. They played much better. They were containing Russ Smith for the longest. He had about 3 fouls. And early in the second half, so he was in foul trouble. But they just weren't able to get that win. Of course, CBS was panning or toggling the camera between Kevin Ware and the court.
Yeah,
so,
I was about to get into that. Of course, Kevin Ware, the sophomore guard who had that horrific broken leg in the Elite Eight victory over the Duke Blue Devils, he was on the sideline, and I admitted I didn't watch the game live, but I saw highlights and stuff, and I've heard this being discussed over and over again, that he's there, he's sitting right next to that elevated court with his leg kind of out extended and propped up, and CBS just kept on going to him, and it's too much. I mean, it's just the kid. All right, yeah, we understand that's a big story, but he's there supporting the team. But they're playing basketball out on the floor, and you're showing this guy every play. You're gonna pan over there and show his reactions. I mean, Mitch, did you have a problem with this?
I just think that the story has been run into the ground. Of course, it is one of the biggest stories of the tournament, but you can't run something into the ground like that. It almost reminded me of how many times that they played their interview with him, as well as ESPN, as Tim Tebow talk and stuff like that. I think, okay, it happened, but you have to move on. You have to move on, and you have to create a different angle. You can't keep using that angle. They won that game against Duke for Ware, but this game was a totally different game where for the longest they were down. So they kept using him as an item of trying to gain sympathy for this Louisville team, I think.
So you said that CBS was playing their interview over and over again with Ware?
Yeah.
When was this?
This was over the weekend.
Okay. Like pregame and stuff like that?
Yeah, pregame and, just the whole, yeah.
My problem with it is this. Kevin Ware has been turned into the mascot for this Louisville team. And, yeah, it's an inspiring story, all that stuff, but he's all this attention. He's getting this attention that he never would have gotten if he didn't land awkwardly and snap his leg like that. And he's he's not being looked at as an athlete recovering. He's been looked at as the, oh, look, this guy, he's broken over there, but the team, they're playing hard for him, and it's just so lovely. I mean, the guy, he had a horrific injury. He's there. He's part of the team. He's supporting his team. He's not the damn mascot. That's my problem with it.
Well, I also read a story where Adidas was selling Rise to the Occasion shirts.
I saw this.
Yeah, so and what happened ultimately was they didn't have his permission, and even if they did, it was a lose-lose situation where it would be him receiving improper benefits, or it would make him ineligible to play ever again in the NCAA.
In the NCAA, you cannot use an athlete's name or image to, as far as selling these jerseys and merchandise and stuff like that. You do see that they always toe the line with this when they sell the player's jersey number on these jerseys. Like, remember last year, you'd see over at the bookstore here at ODU, you'd see Old Dominion number 24 jerseys. Yeah. It's obviously Kent Bazemore, but it doesn't have his name on there. It's just the Old Dominion logo and a couple of numbers.
And it's basically like, yeah, we're gonna make our money, and you're not gonna stop us.
Yeah, and that was something that actually happened, the whole thing with Chris Webber when he was in college. And there's actually something that's coming up right now because the Fab Five, apparently they're going to do a reunion at the national championship game, but Chris Webber, who lives and works in Atlanta, is not going to go. But remember, he was reportedly, I remember seeing this in the Fab Five documentary, that he was upset that he'd see his jersey being sold there, and he can't he can't accept $5 to buy lunch from somebody. Well, it's because it's improper things, but they're making money off.
Yeah, and a side note for that, Jalen Rose said it would be flagrant if Chris Webber didn't join him and Magic Johnson on Magic's private jet to go to the Final Four. So we'll see if he takes that offer. But the ban is lifted coming up soon. So
all right. Well, let's move on to, speaking of Michigan, let's move on to the Michigan and Syracuse game, the other of the Final Four games. And this one, I caught most of the end of, and I caught the controversial play in this one. And if you're unaware, it was a bang play where a block charge call is being disputed at the end of the game, and I believe it was a charge that was called. It went against Syracuse. People are upset because Syracuse, they were coming back and they were making a comeback at the end. They were pressuring, and they seemed like they had a chance to overtake the lead and possibly go on to the national championship game. But this play, and people are saying the referee should have swallowed the whistle. And Mitch, again, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, in that situation, I think that, if the call was warranted, it has to be called. But, as a fan, you want to see the game played out in the last minute and not be decided by the whistle. So I think he should have swallowed his whistle in that series or in that scenario.
Trey Burke, Michigan guard, National Player of the Year. Moving on, and I saw a stat. There's only two ever National Players of the Year and national champions in the same year. It was last year Anthony Davis, and 2001 Shane Battier, and Trey Burke trying to become the third tonight with the Michigan Wolverines trying to knock off, and the number 4 seed trying to knock off the Louisville Cardinal. And just again, Mitch, this Michigan team, they've been good throughout. We talked about it last week. I remember looking at them playing VCU and just how good they looked and thinking it was just a matchup thing, but then they just kept on rolling. They keep on winning, and they've had a freshman guard really come out of nowhere and start to be a big part of this team.
Yeah, and it's really been an up and down season for them. I've watched the majority of their games on Big Ten Network, and it's been a thrill. You go from winning early games, crushing out teams like Indiana Tech, and then you get to the Big Ten. With the Big Ten Conference, I will say this about that conference. That is really a testy conference, and if you want to be primed and ready to go for the NCAA tournament, that's the conference you need to be in. So they play hard throughout Big Ten regular season play. They get crushed at Michigan State. They beat Michigan State at their home. They get beat by Ohio State. They beat Ohio State. So they split those series. But more importantly, the difference between last year's Michigan team and this year's Michigan team is, I'd say, experience. A guy by the name of Tim Hardaway Jr. has really gotten that confidence that, okay, I have that killer instinct now. Last year he didn't have that. and now he has that. And it doesn't hurt that he has someone like Glenn Robinson right beside him.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch McGary comes in as a freshman. He's known as a high school bully with the way he plays.
A high school bully? Explain that.
The way when he was coming in and he was getting recruited, scouts would call him a bully, just the way everybody was smaller than him, much smaller than him. And
so that's not something. He wasn't an actual
No,
high
no,
school
no,
bully.
no.
He didn't go around giving nerds wedgies, did he?
no, if
He
you
might have. You don't know that.
if you talk about his play on the court and you saw it, you would say, okay, this is not fair. He was just bigger than everybody. This guy had a pro frame in high school, so. When you bring a guy in like that, that's an ESPN top 100 player, and then Nick Stauskas too was a top 100 player. I can just keep going on and on about this roster. Karis LeVert as well. John Beilein has put together a program that really has depth for once, because last year they didn't have this depth at all. So it really was a starting five, and then you had to muster up some points from the bench. But this team can put together 2 starting lineups, and that's the thing about them I like.
Tell me why they can be the team to withstand the Louisville pressure, to not buckle, and to win the national championship.
I think with the different presses they've seen this year, it will be in the way that they adjust or get ready, prepare for different presses. I think is different from anyone else. John Beilein, of course, one of the better coaches in the NCAA. He gets his team ready. As you saw, his team was ready for the zone. I think, in my opinion, they executed, dissecting the zone slowly but surely. They did it. Maybe in the first couple of minutes they jacked up too many threes, but then we saw them settle down after a few timeouts. John Beilein told them what they needed to do, and they did it. So I think with this press that they're gonna encounter, they're gonna be ready for it. And I think that this team, with Trey Burke at the helm, who handles the ball really well, and Tim Hardaway handles the ball. Glenn Robinson can handle the ball. McGary sometimes can handle it. Even Stauskas.
Louisville, on the other hand, they come into this tournament hot. They come in they're now 34-5, the number 1 overall seed, as I mentioned. And in that win over the Wichita State Shockers, it was Luke Hancock off the bench, former George Mason Patriot. He's a transfer student coming out of the CAA, which shows you how good the CAA was just a few years ago. And in a Final Four game, 31 minutes of play, he puts up 20 points off the bench. Big part of the reason that Louisville won that game. They, on the other hand, I'm making the argument for Louisville now. They are a deep team, a team that does have the added benefit of the Kevin Ware thing, even though that I hate how he's turning into a mascot like this. To them, he's a fallen teammate who they're playing for and playing hard for. And you can't look over at the sideline and see him and be able to go out there and not, bust your butt and get up and down the floor. Of course, it's already the motivation of the national championship game, but then you got your teammate, the one you've run those suicides with and pumped those irons with, but he's right there unable to do anything. All he can do is watch. They're going out there playing for him. They have that added, of course, motivation. And then there's a guy like Jang, their center, Peyton Siva and Russ Smith in the backcourt, and then Luke Hancock coming off of the bench. They're a deep team. They're a team that'll pressure you. They pressure you in a different way than maybe a VCU does. They're trying to force turnovers the entire game. And it's going to be a good matchup, and I do think that they might just have too many horses, and much to my chagrin, that the number 1 overall seed will end up winning the national championship.
Yeah, I definitely like Louisville's depth as well. And Luke Hancock, who it just seems when March and April come around, he just has this added clutch factor, as Skip Bayless would call it. I mean, the guy does the intangibles, the things you don't see on the box chart. He got a couple of jump balls in that game, and he got one really important jump ball that eventually solidified the game for them. He missed a free throw, and it was only a 2-point game. But with 6 seconds left, he was able to get that jump ball, and it was their possession. It seemed like Louisville had possession, the possession era the whole game. I don't know if it was just me, but there were at least 3 different jump balls that I saw.
Okay, that jump ball at the end of the game, this is something that's been a source of discussion, that it seems like to a lot of people they're thinking that Wichita State got screwed a little bit there.
Yeah, ultimately they did.
You
And
think they did? You don't think that should have been blowing the whistle for the jump ball there? You think it was
I
too quick?
think as soon as they were blowing the whistle, Baker was stealing or ripping the ball. He finally ripped it, and they're calling the whistle, and he's trying to pass it. So I think it was a little bit too early, and I think it was a missed call by the officials.
Well, again, this is this is the one I can't comment on. I don't want to come out here and speak on something that I didn't watch as it happened. I'm not going to sit here and regurgitate other people's opinions, but it's something that's been a source of discussion, and you hate to see someone's season end on a disputed call, and the same thing happened in the Syracuse and Michigan game, and that was the problem coming out of these two tight games. A lot of people say, hey, swallow the whistle, let them play out there, but referees, unfortunately, a big part of the discussion here on this Monday leading up to the national championship. We're going to take a break, come back in, move a little bit more local, and talk about Old Dominion's new head men's basketball coach, Jeff Jones, being hired from American University to take over for the fired Blaine Taylor, who, of course, exited during this season in the midst of the 5-win Old Dominion Monarch basketball season. Of course, so very disappointing, but Jeff Jones will take the reins. And we'll talk about that when we come back on the Brian Gardner Show with Mitchell Brown.
Taylor. Wade takes the snap. Drops back. Heineke bounces. Rolling to his right. Heineke looking for something. He throws. End zone. Touchdown, Monarchs! Monarchs! Monarchs!
We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. Oh, we're not gonna take it anymore.
Welcome back. It's the Brian Gardner Show with Mitchell Brown, WODU, 25 minutes past the hour here on this Monday in Norfolk, Virginia. Beautiful day. As Mitch is only here for about another 25 more minutes, and the replacement is in the building. Max Ventura just walked in, so he'll be coming on, and we'll be talking some baseball with Max, and that is his wheelhouse. And it should be different. It should be change of pace. And Mitch is going off because he's a bad boy and has a disciplinary hearing with ODU housing. Is that what it is?
Yeah, after this, all order will be restored in the universe.
Okay. So the Old Dominion Monarchs, the basketball team, they have a new basketball coach. Of course, it's much documented how ugly this men's basketball season was. Just 5 wins. Blaine Taylor fired in the midst of it. Jim Corrigan takes over, does a pretty good job, does not get the job as the new head basketball coach. The man who does get the job is a 52-year-old former coach of UVA, last coached at American University. His name is Jeff Jones, and this one really came out of left field. We were not expecting this one when we were talking about this for the last few weeks, but Jeff Jones is now the head coach of the Old Dominion men's basketball Monarchs. And Mitch, I understand you don't 100% like the hire.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest advocate for this hire at all. I feel like there were better options out there. Honestly, it really comes down to 2 things. Either they were bluffing with the names that they put out there, or they just declined the, they got their interview, and they said no thanks.
Okay, so you think that Jeff Jones is like the 6th, 7th choice, something like that for Old Dominion?
Well, I think it took them a while to reach out to him. So I don't think he was up there in the top 5. So I would say 6 or 7.
What does that say about Old Dominion? That this is a team that for a school for years that basketball is their bread and butter, and now football here, and Bobby Wilder's done such a great job with that program, and Old Dominion football is just it's been successful for as long as it's been here, but that now we move on and we got trying to get a new basketball coach, and you're saying that people didn't want to come.
Yeah, and when you look at the situation, this is a 5-25 team. Donors have been kind of down. Season ticket holders were down this season.
They still led the CAA in attendance,
and that's fine. But there's a standard that they had, and it kind of decreased. And I feel like this was a team that was going to be, if maybe 10 to 15 games, we thought, but they, of course, underachieved. Maybe they look at the players, they look at the roster and say, man, do I really want to go into a situation like this? This may ultimately end up killing my reputation, so I may not get another chance at a bigger school.
I don't know, man. I don't really agree, because I think you look at it and there's roots here. Of course, one down year, but they're 2 years removed from the NCAA tournament, 2 years removed from just a buzzer beater away from beating the eventual national champion runner-up, 2 years removed from back-to-back CAA titles when the CAA was actually good. And then they still led the CAA in attendance this year. I think this is still a good job, even though it's not, the top dog here anymore because of what's happening with football. I think this is a different issue. I think that whether or not you like the hiring of Jeff Jones, and the majority don't, but you look at it, and I think it's a little bit of Wood Seelig, the athletic director here at ODU, maybe hiring his old buddy, maybe hiring some guy who he knew back at UVA. He knew him, and when Jeff Jones, let's be fair, he had some good success coaching basketball at the University of Virginia. He also played at the University of Virginia. He's he's won pretty much everywhere he's gone, and I'm trying to be optimistic about that. Even though I looked at it and I was like, no, I don't like this at all. No, the American went 10-20 last year, but it seems like either Wood Selig is much smarter than I'm giving him credit for, which he probably is. I mean, the man has a PhD and he's running an athletic department. He's certainly smarter than I am. But let's see if he might be gambling a little bit and hiring his old buddy.
Yeah, and we'll see. It will either make Dr. Selig look like an idiot or look like a genius.
Put it bluntly.
So it really, and these are, you'll see if you scroll down on that article, there are a lot of comments from local fans who aren't happy, and they lay it on the line on that site. But I really think that he will bring some discipline to this team. I definitely think that. But a lot. I've talked to one of the players, and they said that they didn't like the hire, but we'll keep that
Don't name drop.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna name drop.
Off
but,
the record.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it like that. But it may take some time for fans, players, and the staff to believe in what we have here as a basketball program. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of system he brings. And earlier in the interview, earlier today with Johnny D, he said, I don't really believe in a set system. But what the heck? You got to have something, right?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes, you do. And this is a guy who, let's be honest. Let's be honest. He's an older guy. He's 52 years old. It seems like his upside to me is Blaine Taylor. His upside to me is the very best case scenario. He gets Old Dominion to as high as Blaine Taylor got him, which was very good, but it's not making these deep tournament runs, and they're not playing a very fast pace of basketball. But on the other hand, 13 years at American, he has 21 years of head coaching experience, 29 years overall, son of a coach. And he's a self-described basketball junkie. He was going down to the Final Four in Atlanta. He's down to watching the games, and he's fired up about things, it seems like. But it's not something that's gonna fire up the fan base. Even though if he loves basketball and live and breathe it, this and that. But again, you said this before we went on, and I'll give you a chance to say it again. You'll get excited when you see some W's, and I think that's really the prevailing wisdom from Old Dominion's fans and students, alumni, even the players. Maybe they'll get excited once they start playing and see them in practice. Because I did hear someone's radio show. It was either Nick Cattles or Johnny D in the 757 Club, a former Virginia player who played for Jeff Jones, saying this is an ultimate player's coach, and the players will eventually learn to love him.
Yeah, that was Bryant Stith,
There
and he
you
was
go.
on Johnny.
You intern with the guy, so you should know.
Yeah, so it was his. It was the day I was actually off. That's the funny thing about it. But
Okay.
we'll see. But I think it's definitely gonna take us seeing the schedule and kind of figuring out, okay, what's this lineup gonna be like? What's our reserves gonna be like? And can he recruit? Is he going to go out and get some junior college guys? Because at this time and moment, we have no front court. And you talk about it's decimated.
That's true. It's Anton Larson going into his senior year of his disappointing tenure here at Old Dominion. There's Ekene Anachabe coming off of a red shirt, so he'll be very green, even though he had a year to learn a little bit, but no basketball experience at the college level. And then there's Richard Ross, who's insanely athletic and strong, but he is undersized as a front court. So it'll be interesting to see if he goes to the JUCO level and try and pull in some more recruits. Because another thing that a lot of people don't like about this is that he doesn't have any connections to 757 recruiting. And this is a pretty rich area as far as talent goes. I mean, I think who's the guard at UNC who's from Norfolk? I'm blanking on
Marcus
him.
Page.
Yes, and there's guys like that coming out. I mean, you see, there's been a lot of local guys playing at ODU, good, strong players coming from around the area. And if he can't bring those in, if they decide to go maybe up to UVA or George Mason or Virginia Tech or places like that, or further around, if they're going to go outside of the state. It could go a couple of different ways. We have a couple of tweets actually coming in on this. Sarah Brunke agrees with me as far as saying that it's Wood Selig hiring maybe his old buddy, and doesn't seem too happy about that. Max, who's back in the back listening, tweets in. He's gonna come in. I'm sure I'll give him a chance to elaborate on this, but saying 10-20 is better than 5-28. Just saying. And to be fair, again, to Jeff Jones, he's won throughout. He's won everywhere he's been. He turned American into nothing to a team that went to the NCAA tournament a couple of times, and they had a bunch of 20-win seasons in a row right before that down year. But what I really don't like is that you're hiring someone to come in and replace this 5-28 season, and he's coming off of a disappointing season himself with a team full of seniors.
And what it is, sports universally, it's a what have you done for me lately type of thing. And that's definitely the case here. So when you look at what he's done lately, 10-20 isn't any better than what we let go, honestly. And I think our caliber of players are better, so that I think we can win at the best 10 to 15 games next year. But that's not going to be enough for Monarch fans. They want at least a tournament bid, CBI, CIT. But we've had enough settling for that. The CIT was cool, but we want NCAA, we want at-large bids, we want an NIT bid, stuff like that. So,
Old Dominion, tough in this last season, and you talked about these secondary tournaments. That's cool. Yeah, CIT, CBI, I understand that. This is also a team that, back-to-back CAA championships 2 years ago. I've said that a couple of times, and this is also a team that has seen. Well, a school and a fan base that has seen in 2006 George Mason go to the Final Four out of their conference. And then those 2 years ago when Old Dominion won the CAA, their hated rival VCU, a team they were better than, they went to the Final Four. VCU has turned into this big-time, national darling. Everyone loves Shaka Smart, and it makes Monarch fans just their bloods boil. And they want somebody to come in and rival that, and it just seems like to me that Jeff Jones, as far as what we've seen, he's not a guy who's going to get these fans happy. And like I said, his upside is Blaine Taylor.
And it kind of hurts because, looking at some of the candidates, Louisville's assistant had, a lot of upside to him. And then you look, I hate to say it, but VCU's assistant, Brian Rose, was a really hot candidate out there. And it's sad to say that another team is going to get him while we had an opportunity to bring in a young face and a new defensive scheme that's probably going to be similar to the Havoc.
Just for a second here, I'm going to play devil's advocate, even though you're right about him, good young coach. Do you really think Old Dominion would have embraced a former Virginia Commonwealth assistant as their new head coach? That would I'd be looking, I'd feel dirty all over knowing where he came from, just removing myself, not as a member of media, but as a future alumnus and as a fan, just looking at this and be like, oh God, I hated everything that VCU had and all this stuff. And now that a former VCU coach is the coach of my school, I would absolutely hate that. That would kill me. So I'm not too sure about bringing him in, even though you're saying, oh yeah, good opportunity. Was he on the short list?
He wasn't on the short list, but he was a candidate at one point. So maybe he got cut off. But Louisville's, I can't think of his full name. Something Keats.
Assistant coach at Louisville?
Yeah, assistant coach at Louisville, but he was a younger guy, and he was on the short list. Dennis Felton was on the short list, the former Western Kentucky coach and Georgia coach. Steve Robinson from down at UNC, and somebody even murmured something about Hubert Davis, who, is low-key been an assistant for 2 years now at UNC.
Yeah. All right, well, it's, all these names thrown out and this and that, but the fact of the matter remains is Jeff Jones is new head basketball coach. I believe you're speaking with him in an interview for Mason Crown on Wednesday, and I'm mandating you record that. We'll get the sound and we'll play that for you here on the show on Monday. We're going to take a break, come back, and we will talk about some more basketball, a few NBA things before Mitch goes off and has to deal with the whole whatever he did that was wrong over at the.
See you next year, ODU.
It's a Brian Gardner show with Mitchell Brown, WODU.
Give me your hands, show me the door. I cannot stand to wait anymore. Somebody said, be what you be. We could be old and cold and dead on the sea. But I love you more than words can say. Well, I can't count the reasons I should stay.
Very brief break because Mitch has to get out of here and we want to get into some NBA stuff before. So instead of coming in with a new song, I'm going out with the break song. That's it's anarchy here in the studio right now. Brian Gardner Show, Mitchell Brown, 41 minutes and now 42 minutes after the hour here at 12:42 on a Monday afternoon. And Mitch, there was a couple of interesting Sunday games yesterday in the National Basketball Association. Your wheelhouse. I know you're a big NBA guy, and I just want to talk a little bit about the playoff picture that's shaking out. Yesterday's win for the New York Knicks over the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Los Angeles Clippers beating the Los Angeles Lakers and sweeping the season series against those Los Angeles Lakers, something that'd be unheard of, say, 5 years ago.
Yeah, and this Clippers team has really been a team of, I think, miracles, man. First of all, this is their first 50-win season in ever, which is kind of baffling to think about it. They've never won 50 games. But, you know, I think this is a different Clippers team, and I think that they can go deep into the playoffs. The team last year didn't have Chauncey Billups in the playoffs, so I think with him this year in the playoffs that it will be good for them. And Crawford is playing out of his mind off the bench. What's new, though?
That's what I was about to say. What about Jamal Crawford? I mean, they got 6 starters on this team. Jamal Crawford can go in there and get you 30 on any given night.
And even Matt Barnes has played like a 6th man of the year this year, coming off as the 7th man. I really like the way he's played. Another thing that I think about this Lakers team is that they just don't have it. And if Brian, I ask you this quick question, kind of a foreshadow of next segment an hour from now. If they don't make the playoffs, does D'Antoni keep his job?
Mike D'Antoni. Of course, in the Lakers. For some reason, I was thinking, wait, didn't he coach in the Knicks? But where the hell have I been?
Not anymore.
Maybe. The only thing I think is that do the Lakers actually pay 3 coaches at one time? Because they're still paying Mike Brown.
Still paying Mike
they
Brown.
would still be paying D'Antoni, and then they'd pay a third one. I mean, I know they're the Lakers and they have endless amounts of money, but I mean, come on, you know, it seems like, and also at the same point, it's like you're admitting, all right, we made the wrong hire, we were wrong. Apparently, Phil Jackson was ready to come back, but we thought D'Antoni would be good, and then we're bad, we're wrong. But it's so I don't know. I don't know if I think arrogance and I'm not going to say being cheap, but not wanting to spend millions and millions of dollars on coaches that aren't even coaching for you would maybe hold them back and give them another year.
Yeah, and I think you know, 2 different teams going in 2 different directions right now. The Clippers just keep getting better, and the Lakers just keep getting worse. But on the East side of things, the Knicks and the Thunder had a big epic matchup, I think, yesterday, and that one came down to the wire kind of. The Knicks, of course, prevailing in that one. Brian, do we have a score? Or
125 to 120. New York.
I really didn't realize they scored that much.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah, and you look at it, you're looking at the game, you're like, okay, this is a score. But then when you look back at it, you're like, geez, did they play any defense?
Well, that's the NBA. Sometimes they don't play defense.
Typical.
Let's be honest with us.
Of course.
Let's be honest with it.
Of course, Carmelo again with another average game for him.
Carmelo Anthony put up 36 and 12. And Carmelo Anthony's a guy who can go out, and I mentioned Jamal Crawford. Carmelo Anthony's like averaging almost 40 points in his last 5 games. It's absolutely absurd. And we talked about the Knicks a couple of times in the last few weeks, and you seem to be not buying them. And I know last week they're coming on their win streak, their number 2 seed, and I'm saying they're a legitimate contender, and you're talking about they maybe could upset, you're talking about them like they're 7 or 8 seed. I mean, have you come around at all, or are you still saying that the Knicks would be lucky to squeak out of the first round?
No, they'll get out of the first round, definitely. They'll beat a depleted and kind of weird, dysfunctional Celtics team.
Weird and dysfunctional.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a bad combination. But but I think they will ultimately lose to a team like the Pacers. I think that it's a swing or hit and a miss with J.R. Smith. You know, he plays and bricks the whole game, and then you get in the last 2 minutes, and he may hit a clutch shot for you. Carmelo, what are they going to do if Carmelo's off? If Amari comes back, they'll go back to their old losing ways. You know, so it's kind of a lot of questions they have going in. Can Jason Kidd sustain these minutes in the 7-game series that he's been playing? And can Carmelo keep playing the minutes that he's playing?
The I'm not. I said this last week. They're a dark horse to actually sneak out and knock off the Heat. I think they have a chance only if Amari Stoudemire stays injured, because for some reason Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire just can't play together, and they have a chance because of number 7 for the New York Knicks. Carmelo Anthony goes out and he'll go out and put up 50 points. I mean, the guy can win a series. He can win a few games single-handedly, and he can win a series single-handedly, and that's what I have to say about that. I know you really don't agree, but before you get out of here, just one thing on the Miami Heat. It seems like Dwayne Wade is possibly out for the rest of the season until the playoffs. Do you think they're just sitting him because we don't need you to rush yourself in. You're 31 years old. Just come back, play in the playoffs. You think they're just kind of BSing it?
It's BS. There was something that I read in that story that just stuck out to me. Like, okay, this is total BS. I don't have it up right now, but it's definitely a tactic to try and get the rest that he needs. The guy his knees have had problems. I'm sure there is a little bit of soreness, but it's not enough to keep him out. Obviously, he can go and jump around and reenact the Harlem Shake yesterday at the family festival they had.
Yeah, the Heat had some sort of fundraising thing. They raised like bundles of money yesterday, and it was good community, all that stuff. And they're on the outside, maybe they to seem a little bit less villainous to some of the teams that they're warm and cuddly and having all this fun, but it also might make some people hate them a little bit more. But yeah, you have a point. I also think they're just BSing a little bit.
If you have LeBron James in a suit over there jumping up and down, there is nothing wrong with him.
Nothing wrong with his hamstring.
No,
he's fine.
No.
All right, let's go to a break. Let Mitch get out of here and go up and have his meeting. We'll go to the co-host bullpen. Max Venturo has been loosening up his right arm and his vocal cords out there, and he'll come in and he will replace and sit to the right of me for the next hour or so. All right, so we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit. We'll talk a little baseball. Got Joey Trincali joining us in about 12 minutes, and then we'll take it from there. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be interesting. Changing the dynamic here. A Brian Gardner show. Mitch is leaving, so I'm leaving his name off of it here on WODU.
Oh, man.
Oh, welcome back. Max Venturo in the building, sitting to my right.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, he's a host of Maximum D with Dustin Anthony, Fridays 2 to 3.
Yep, Fridays 2
And
to 3.
much of the music that I use on here on this program is coming from their playlists. So thank you for that.
You're welcome, man.
Yeah.
We like to pick only good music.
Yeah, only good music. All right, I listened to you guys' recorded show yesterday while I was getting some stuff done. You had me laughing. It's,
Everyone's been
that was
getting
a
a
good
kick
one.
out of that.
That was a good one. There was some off the wall topics, definitely.
I rewatched it and I was laughing.
Yeah.
That conversation was ridiculous. The two conversations. We had a conversation about sex with socks on, and then we had another conversation about how I was just annoyed with a bunch of fat people at BAL taking the elevator up one floor when I'm trying to go up the whole way. But yeah, definitely check out the recording. I'll post it on Brian's Twitter page or whatever.
Yeah, I'll retweet it if you put it up, something like that.
Yeah, and you guys can have yourself a listen.
All right. Well, Mac's a baseball guy by
As you can
trade.
see.
Yeah, he's got his St. Louis Cardinals stuff decked out. So we will be talking a lot of baseball. But he was back in the back and listening to me and Mitch for the last half hour or so, and had some thoughts on the Jeff Jones thing, the Old Dominion coach. And you made a hell of a point when we were walking back in here about taking the VCU's assistant coach. And go ahead and just reiterate that for the listeners.
Yeah, if ODU had taken VCU's assistant coach, obviously us at ODU would be just have a little bit of like a what the heck face on for a minute. But Brian had said that he would be just really angry at that, and I thought to myself, well, I think VCU fans would be even more annoyed with it because, like Brian said, I'm a baseball guy. I compare everything to baseball. It's like Johnny Damon signed with the Yankees a couple years ago. The Yankee fans at first were like, oh, that loser's from Boston, blah, blah, blah. But then he ended up, he ended the season with almost 200 hits and, over 300 batting average. And they're like, well, he's good, so I don't care. But Red Sox fans hated him. Hated him.
There's an old joke. It comes from Seinfeld, actually.
Good.
And it's I got to pull up the audio after the next break. It's in general Jerry Seinfeld reminding all of us that when we're watching, have our fan allegiances and we're watching these games, we're rooting for laundry. Because if the guy who goes from who's wearing your jersey, say you're a Boston Red Sox fan, and you love Johnny Damon. Johnny Damon's fantastic. And then he leaves, and he's going to the other city, and now he's wearing New York Yankees. And, oh, no, how could you hate him now? The only thing that's changed is the jersey. It's the same guy.
Yeah, it's the same guy. But you'd like to the problem with the everyday fan and the lay fan, they have it in their heads that players are in some way loyal to something other than their contract.
Yeah.
It's not the case.
For someone who, whole life big fan of sports fan teams in general, like, you look at it and when you realize that, it's kind of crushing for a second, but then you just move on. You're like, I still love my team.
You still root for the team, because it's more about, I guess, it's not about the individual player. Like, some of my favorite players don't play for the Cardinals, and Cardinals are my favorite team. It's like, if they were to play for the Cardinals, that'd be great.
Right.
But, yeah, you do. You root for the laundry. But
root for the laundry. It's it makes me sad at times, but it also you move on at other times. All right, one other thing you said, that you mentioned, I wanted to dispute this with you on air because I'd read the tweet, saying, well, 10 and 20 is better than 5 and 28. Same time as far as the Jeff Jones thing
that was
goes.
our record, right? 5 and 28.
Something like that.
Yeah, something dismal.
5 wins, and
Yeah.
it wasn't good. But at the same time, you want to come in and have a Alex McGinnis is walking in. He's
confused because he sees me.
All right. So I just got interrupted, but I have to address this. Alex is mad at me because another host who did a rock show last year here at WODU. Alex McGinnis is the rock director here at WODU. Last semester, Matt McCartney. He was also doing sports. And he says I stole him because Matt's not doing a rock show anymore. And so I've jokingly said I'm going to steal you and Dustin. And now here you are in here co-hosting with me for a second.
Yeah, well, you know what? Sorry, Alex. No, I'm not quitting my Maximum D duties.
No.
I'm just subbing in for
Mitchell.
for Mitch. Yeah.
You know, he went off and he has a disciplinary kind of thing with ODU housing. I guess him and his roommates have been bad.
Oh, too bad. Yeah.
Yep.
So cool your jets, Alex. I know that's tough for you because your hair is so flary, but just chill out a little bit, okay?
Oh my goodness! All right, coming back to this, just the ODU thing. The one thing I wanted to say to you when the mics are hot is that you really want someone coming off of a better performance, a better season.
I understand that, and I guess I was just playing devil's advocate a little
Yes.
bit there because as Mitch said, with the American sports and any sports really, it's have the what have you done for me lately mentality, and we shouldn't. I agree with that, and we shouldn't be shooting for better than this past season because this past season was just terrible.
It was.
We should be shooting for a tournament bid.
Mm-hmm.
Not CIT, not NIT, but an actual tournament bid. That's what we should be shooting for. What was that? 2 years ago and the year before that? We have two tournaments?
Two straight
in a row?
NCAA appearances on two straight CAA tournament titles, and that was
Yeah.
2 years ago. Last
Yeah.
year, there was the CIT, which is kind of a third tier
Right. It was
behind the NIT.
It was a CIT, and that's when our boy Kent got arrested.
That's when Kent
5 minutes
Bazemore
before the
was.
game
Yeah, he
started.
had an outstanding warrant
Whatever,
because he didn't complete his ASAP classes after getting a DUI that apparently he didn't tell the coaches about. And as much as we love Kent, that was a really boneheaded move.
Yeah, it was.
And he was arrested before the game. They took him away from the locker room. Apparently the police actually wanted to come out and take him on the court, but the security guys they let him. They made it so that didn't happen. Can you imagine
That's good. That would have been. I mean, that just seems like that whole situation just seems more because what are they like? Why didn't they just arrest him the day before? Why couldn't they have just waited an hour for the game to be over? You know, it's like
I mean, he's a student. You know where he's going to be. He's
yeah,
on
exactly.
campus all
Doesn't
the
he?
time.
He lives. He lived around here.
Yeah,
I think he lived in the village.
Pretty much all the upperclassmen athletes live over there because they have to live on campus.
Yeah, so they know where he lives. They know all that stuff. It's like it was just completely unnecessary for them to whisk him away at the point that they did, and that just is I don't like cops.
Okay.
We'll just end it at that. I don't want to get into it too
Oh yeah,
much
let's not get too far into it. But again, just wrapping up the ODU basketball discussion there. I want to be cautiously optimistic because of how good Jeff Jones has been at certain times, but it's at the same time I don't 100% love it. Go ahead and pick that up. We have call. Yeah, go ahead and pick it up because I have to introduce him. We have calling in now and joining us on the program. He's a friend of mine. We worked together over the last summer with the Herndon Braves. Fellow play-by-play announcer. He's at Virginia Tech and is their student guy. Does some internet streaming as a la ODU here at Monarch Media. I don't know what it's called and he can tell me now. But Joey Trincali joins us now on the program. Joey, how are you, my friend? I'm good, man. I'm doing good. Thanks for joining. We really appreciate you being here, taking the time. And no problem. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if I can turn you up a little bit here. It's still working out the kinks of the board, all this stuff. Can we hear him better now? You got you. Say something again, Joe.
Oh, am I good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
That's
now.
good.
That's better.
Golden pony boy.
Golden pony boy. So, all right. First of all, just tell me if I introduced you adequately there.
No, that was perfect. It's technically called Hokies All Access.
Hokies All Access. Okay, that's similar. We're Monarch Media All Access is what it is over here.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. So we wanted to bring you in and first things first, talk a little baseball with you because I know that's your number one sport. It's how we became acquainted over the summer with the Herndon Braves. I know you're a big Nats guy, and just they had a pretty interesting series over the last few days with the Cincinnati Reds.
Interesting is definitely positively connotated.
Yeah, they got absolutely shellacked by the Reds in the first game, came back and won and had an extra inning win in the second game and then lost yesterday. And just the state of the Nats so far because they looked so good on the opening series and then you run into a very good team and it's like, oh, suddenly maybe they're not going to go 162-0.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Now, I think that, one, watching the games this weekend, the Cincinnati Reds are a really good team. I mean, just top to bottom, they lost Ludwig to start the season, but just up and down that lineup, especially when you're playing in Cincinnati where every, 250-foot pop-up seems like it's going to end up being a home run. When you're playing against that lineup, it's just tough. And I think that they might have gotten used to being able to make a couple mistakes against the AAA squad down from Miami in their first series. And so I think that they came in, they had to play a really good team on the road, and they realized that it's not going to be that easy. But they made a lot of mistakes. I mean, I think that's the number one thing is that if those two teams were to meet in October, you can't make mistakes and have 3 errors in a game and think that you're going to beat a team that has Joey Votto and Brandon Phillips, and you're going down the lineup, and Cueto's pitching that day. It's just not going to happen. So I think that in general the Nationals will be fine, but it was good to get a series where they kind of got humbled a little bit and said, you can't just show up and expect to win every game. This is Major League Baseball. Everyone's good. So if you make mistakes, you're going to end up losing.
Well put, and I think I got the audio now. There was a knob up there.
It's over here. This knob is what you got to do.
Okay.
I had no idea, but I just was messing around a little bit. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like the Reds, much to my chagrin, are a fantastic ball club. I don't know if you're watching right now or just listening, but I am decked out in Cardinals gear.
I actually saw that. I wasn't sure if I was going to call in at that point anymore because it still hurts a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was a rough game for you guys, wasn't it? I was down here still when we were watching it. I was watching it at my friend's house. I was the only Cardinals fan and probably 7 Nats fans, and it was glorious to say the very least. But
I'm sure.
But I really like the Nats, and the only thing that I had against them in that series was that they were playing against the Cardinals, and I despise the Reds with every fiber of my being. And but the one thing that I will say about baseball, it's a 162 game season. Anybody who dissects the first even month of the season, is it's baseball. As much as basketball is a game of streaks, baseball is a game of streaks. You're gonna win 7 in a row. You're gonna lose 7 in a row, and I don't care if you're the 2002 Mariners who won 120 games, or if you're the Astros of the last couple of years that had won 50 games. It's like you're gonna have some good streaks and you're gonna have some bad streaks. It's it's a long season, so I don't think the Nats really have too much to worry about, especially with that pitching staff. Strasburg was off for a day.
Going off of the whole 162 game, the thing, I want to bring something up with you, Joe, as far as the that 15-0 loss, which, by the way, the worst loss in Washington Nationals history since since baseball came back to 2005. Reassure any Washington National fans out there who maybe watched that game and thought, "Oh boy, we're actually terrible. It was just Miami seeing this happen." But it's the whole 162 game thing coming out of that. But just tell me why Dan Herron's not going to give up 4 home runs every single time, and the Nationals aren't going to give up 15 runs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, I think that in general there are people that there are fans of the Nationals that are a bit nervous about Dan Herron. I mean, this is a guy who's a 3-time All-Star, but he's had injuries over the last few seasons, and his velocity on his fastball is down, and so there are some red flags. But in general, one, you're not going to go up against the Reds every weekend, which is great for Dan Herron, and he's struggled a little bit in the spring getting everything together. He was injured a lot last season, but for the most part, he's been a really dependable pitcher. And you're not asking him to be an ace on this team, like you guys are saying. Strasburg had an off day, but you got Strasburg, you got Gio Gonzalez, and into Jordan Zimmerman. And then at the end of your rotation, you have Ross Detweiler, who in Game 4 against your Cardinals had a spectacular game, kept the Nationals in the series. So in general, you don't need Dan Herron to be a stud, and because of that, I don't think there's anything to worry about. But like I said, when you're playing in Cincinnati, when you're going up against that lineup, and Dan Herron was a little unhappy with the umpires and as well on Friday in terms of just squeezing. When you can't pitch at the knees against that Reds lineup, and you got to put everything up, then you're going to get crushed, and you're going to give up those 4 home runs. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. And to your point about judging after 6 games, in my opinion, 45 games. When you're at 45 games, you can really look and say, you know what, these teams have showed us what they've got, and I wouldn't look a minute earlier than 45 games. That might even say too early, to be honest.
Okay, well then do the impossible for me right now. Bryce Harper had an incredible spring. He finished the regular season last year on fire, and he's come out really even better so far this year. The 20-year-old outfielder for the Washington Nationals, of course, 2 home runs on opening day. Do the impossible for me and tell me if he is an MVP candidate after 6 games.
I don't want to jinx anything, but I just can't watch him and not think to myself, wow, you know what, that he might be an MVP candidate. Because if you look at last year, some would say, you know, he's an average baseball player that's 19 years old, and because of that, we're giving him too much props because he's just doing well because he's young. If he was 23 and a rookie, we would say, you know what, those numbers weren't really that great. But when you, like you said, Brian, when you look at his last month, when you look at this spring where he hit almost 500 during the spring, I know it's spring training, but that's over a month's time. It's going to be tough for anyone to hit almost 500. And when you look at his approach this year, he doesn't look like the rookie that he was even last year. He looks like a veteran, and I can't say that I'd have anyone up at a game's, you know, at the most important part of the game more than Bryce Harper. That's who I'd want to have, because I think that he's probably the toughest out on the Nationals team. And yeah, I'm going to say after 6 games, I really do think that he's an MVP candidate. Obviously, he was going up against Votto, who I think is another MVP candidate. But in general, I just look at the fact that, you know, first 6 games, he's got 3 home runs, he's got 5 RBIs, and everything that he hits, it's solid. He's not getting any easy hits. So for me, yeah, I really do think he is an MVP candidate, even at age 20 and even through 6 games.
That would be historic, to say the least. Let's switch gears for a second here. The Houston Astros won the first game of the season, that opening night game that was over the Texas Rangers. Since then, 5 in a row, and they came within 1 out of giving up a perfect game. I want to give you 2 numbers here, an over and under for the Houston Astros. First of all, over under 55 wins for the Houston Astros, and over under 3 no-hitters against for the Houston Astros. Go.
I will say under on the no-hitters. I think maybe 1 against them, but I think that odds-wise, that's just too incredible, especially when you say they already really dodged 1 bullet against Darvish, making him look like the greatest pitcher of all time through the first 26 outs there. But and then, you know, that's a tough. The 55, I mean, that's low. Obviously, that's low. But for this Astros team, you know, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to my boy Bo Porter, the old third base coach for the Nationals. I'll say over, and I'll say 57.
Optimistic from Mr. Trincali.
No, if you look at
That mic's messed up.
Yeah, the mic's messed up. There we go. If you look at, I mean, I don't know if you've read any like Bill James kind of stuff, Joey, but if you look at it, he's basically has said that every season, every team is guaranteed to win a third of their games, and every team is guaranteed to lose a third of their games. And every once in a while, you get a fluke. You know, you get a fluke like the Astros the last couple of seasons. You get a fluke like the Mariners of 10 years ago that won 120 games. But for the most part, just going by that alone, I'm going to give them an over and give them, I'm thinking at least 60, even though they are, you know, they did just move to a division where they're just really just going to get smoked by everyone, except for.
That's a tough division.
It is a tough division, and the fact that they've got to play against that division often is definitely working against them. But I'm putting them right around 60 games. 60 wins.
They're going to win 53, and let's move on from there. Okay, just a couple other things for you, Joe, as far as baseball, and then we can move into our shared wacky broadcasting stories. I know you saw what I posted on Twitter from yesterday. I saw what you tweeted me earlier today about the women's lacrosse, and we can talk about that. I'm looking forward to that. But another team that's semi-local, and it's local here for people in Hampton Roads because the AAA affiliate, the Norfolk Tides, are here. But the Baltimore Orioles, they had a nice year last year. Started out, they're 3-3. But Chris Davis, have you seen what he's been doing? The dude had.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah, well, 4 home runs and 16 RBI in the first 4 games. I mean, of course, this isn't something that's going to continue. But is a guy like that for Baltimore, does that make them a legitimate threat?
Well, you know, I saw after he hit his 4th home run, the grand slam. I was watching that game, and I actually tweeted out, save some home runs for the rest of the major leagues. I mean, my goodness, this guy can't stop. But yeah, I think that the fact is, if you look, if you go pull up Major League Baseball and you look at statistics, You know who's first on the list? It's Adam Jones, and Chris Davis has been able to overshadow what Adam Jones is doing, who's hitting 538 at the moment. So,
See, I didn't even know that.
yeah, it's incredible. I mean, Chris Davis has been great, but Adam Jones has gotten a hit every other time he's been up to bat. So, yeah, I really do. The thing about the Orioles is that they are offensively an extremely gifted team, but they're also a team that's gotten injured, and they already have lost Brian Roberts for at least about a month, it sounds like. Already Nolan Rymel is getting hurt again, and that seems to be the case, and they let Mark Reynolds go because they thought those two guys were going to be able to be healthy and be in the lineup, and Reynolds is now over in Cleveland. But for me, the real struggle with the Orioles is going to be the fact that they still don't have the staff. The pitching staff is not there, and everyone thought that Dylan Bundy was going to be up, their young stud, possibly the next, Steven Strasburg, as everyone was putting him, as he had a, over 20 inning streak without giving up a hit or something, or a run or something to that effect in the minor leagues. And he's only 20 years old, but now he's regressed a little bit, and they really don't have the staff. And already we've seen this year they've lost every one-run game that they've been in, whereas last year they had the best record at that. So regression, it's bound to happen. I don't know, though. That AL East is so intriguing. I mean, you look at the fact that the Red Sox are leading it at the moment, and a lot of people think that that's a team in a rebuilding mode, and obviously the Yankees are decrepit, and Toronto has, this, new squad that's seemingly just taking from the old Mets and the old Marlins and putting it together. But I don't know. I really am confused about what's going to happen in that AL East. So I'm not going to say that the Orioles don't have a chance, but they got to figure out the pitching. They have to make a trade for something because they can't go into the playoffs with the staff that they have at the moment, because they won't last. They won't last. And I don't think they can get to the playoffs with the staff they have at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm really just going to agree with everything that you said. Like, the AL East is, for the first time in recent memory, is just wide open.
It is wide open.
There's there's no clear-cut favorite, and not only is there no clear-cut favorite, none of the teams in the discussion really, especially preseason, neither were the Sox or the Yankees. The 1-2 prediction for most people has been the Rays or the Blue Jays in whatever order, depending on which ESPN analyst you're talking to.
Refreshing to see that, so.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Definitely refreshing to see that. And, the Yankees, I saw a stat the other day, the Yankees' average career hits on their DL is like 2,020 or something like that. Career home runs on their DL is 300 and something, and career batting average on their DL is like over 310 or something like that. And so, I feel like the Yankees are probably going to be at the bottom of the barrel, and the Sox, maybe if this sensation third baseman keeps hitting 3 home runs every day, maybe they'll do well. Maybe they'll do well. But it's really going to be just wide open, I think, between the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Orioles, and maybe the Red Sox. And it's the first time in a real long time that that's happened in that division. And also I agree that their Orioles pitching staff is not a playoff team's pitching staff. Not at all. Their bullpen is struggling. Their starting rotation is not, where it needs to be. Yeah, and I agree. They need to go out and get an ace, or at least someone who's going to finish the season with like 17 wins or something like that. But if they don't do that, then they're probably going to miss out on the postseason. But I think they got a shot still.
Got Joey Trincali on the line here. Brian Gardner show. Max Ventura sitting in for Mitchell Brown, who is off being disciplined for something he did in his room. I'm still not 100% sure of that. Joey, just want to shift gears really quick here, and before we talk about the wacky off-the-wall sports that we've called, update on what's going on with Virginia Tech baseball. I know that they were top 25 earlier this season. Are they still up there?
They just moved back in, and then I believe they're going to be back out. I think the new rankings are going to come out. They lost they got swept this weekend at NC State, so that was a bummer for them. They're a really intriguing team. I've got to call a couple of games. I've gotten to go see them play a couple of times. Just offensively, they can really hit the ball. Some of their guys, Mark Zagunis, a catcher, he's going to be a major, or he'll be a draft pick, and I don't think he'll be a 30th round draft pick. He's a really pretty good stud for them, but in general, they've been a very odd team this year. They struggled on the road, and they've dropped some games against teams that you really don't expect them to lose to. But I think that they have a chance to make some noise in the ACC and maybe get to the College World Series. That's the big thing. That's everything that we've heard here at Virginia Tech. Starting, when we got back this semester, it's as Pete Hughes, the coach for the Hokies, said, World Series or bust. So he feels really strongly about this team, and they had one of their best starts in school history. So I'm hopeful, but their pitching staff, if we're talking about the O's, we can make a comparison here. It's kind of similar in that they've got a pitching staff that has a lot to prove, and they've got an offense that can put up numbers all the time. But they had a 7-run lead, I believe, on Saturday, and ended up giving it up and losing to NC State. So it just goes to show you with baseball, it's not like basketball where if you've got LeBron James, that's it. You don't have to worry about it. You have to have a complete team, and you got to have pitching, you got to have defense, you got to have hitting. And if one of those isn't clicking for this Hokie team, then it can be a struggle at times. But I'm hopeful that the pitching staff really figures it all out and that the hitters keep hitting.
Calling any more of those games this year?
I won't be on any of those games. I should be on mostly softball for the rest of the year, which we have a very good softball team as well, which is nice as well.
All right, transitioning out of that, as you know, over the weekend yesterday, actually, I called Old Dominion women's lacrosse, the Lady Monarchs, not very good. They're 3-9 this season. I'd only seen, I think, 2 full lacrosse games before I went into the booth and called this one. So as you're probably sure, I was a little bit out of sorts. Before, I'm pretty sure. I think you've told me before. Have you done lacrosse before? And also tell me the most off the wall sport you've ever been on the call for.
I did women's lacrosse a week ago for the first time.
Okay.
And that was. It is an experience, is it not?
Oh, it absolutely is.
It is. You find yourself kind of shifting into basketball mode, and so they're going over midfield, and you say something, crossing over the timeline, and you're like, "Does that work here? I don't know." and then they're just. And with women's lacrosse, it's so different because it's a lot of time spent just passing the ball around.
Yeah.
And so when you're just kind of saying names, and you're just saying names as the ball is getting passed around, and then eventually someone shoots, and you call a goal. So no, that was a different experience for me. I'd say probably the wackiest. I've done wrestling this year, which I actually, as someone that didn't do wrestling ever before and has never been like a wrestling guy, I enjoyed that. Our team was good. But probably the weirdest I've done so far is I've done tennis, and the way we do tennis here at Virginia Tech is we will have a monitor. We're sitting in a coach's office, so the game's going on. You can kind of see out this little window, but you can't really see. And we're looking and calling it off of a monitor in front of us, but they've got 4 cameras. And essentially, you feel like Scott Hansen from Red Zone. and you're just like, let's go over and let's check out court number 3 and see how. And first of all, every single player on your team is an international name, so not a single American. Well, we have one American, but otherwise, you've got Mauricio Antun and all these guys. And so I'd say tennis is probably the wackiest just because it's not like calling play-by-play. You can't get into the rhythm. It's like, all right, yeah, I guess we're going to go check out court number 4. And
studio
see how
host
that's
pretty
going.
much.
So that's probably wackiest for me.
Okay, yeah. You talked about. I just want to go back really quickly to the lacrosse because you hit a point of this and it clicked something in my mind. I've been doing a decent amount of hockey, as you might know. I'm working with the Norfolk Admirals, their broadcast team, and I've actually done some color the last few weeks, which is pretty cool. Color on the radio for AHL team, and for a guy who never actually played hockey. Apparently, I did well enough to earn a couple of compliments from random people on Twitter, so I was happy about that. But
that is awesome.
Yeah, thank you. But I found myself falling into hockey mode because I had done the day before. I went off in the stands and I was doing a demo into my recorder. And I was falling into hockey mode, and I was calling things the point and the slot, right wing, left wing, and I just kept going with that because it felt like it worked for me for the lacrosse game.
Yeah, I mean, I played a little bit of lacrosse in high school, and there's a lot of similarities between lacrosse and hockey, so you're pretty safe there.
Okay, good.
I'm not gonna just to give you a little bit of comfort. You're pretty safe. You're pretty safe using hockey terms when you're calling a lacrosse game.
Well, I got one more, so I'm gonna stick with that then.
Yeah, perfect. Well, girls lacrosse is. I don't know.
It's different.
It is different, especially compared to men's lacrosse, because anytime someone makes a cut and goes up the middle, if they get hit with a stick, whistle.
Yeah.
It's like in men's lacrosse, you're running through getting hit by a deep hole that's 6 feet long, and then you're getting hit by 3 other ones before you can even get your hands free to take a shot. In girls lacrosse, you can't you can't get hit, but it makes sense because the only padding they have is those that cage that they wear over their eyes, their goggles.
We're getting a crash course in lacrosse over here from Max Ventura. Joe, you gotta.
I know it's I really appreciate it. Honestly, it's funny that you hear the terms, and you've got like the fan and the 8-meter arc for girls lacrosse, and I honestly heard those maybe a couple minutes before I started doing the game, and then I just went with it. And you're right.
Yeah.
It feels kind of hockey-like. You should have used it. You dump it down.
Call it
something
grassing
like that.
instead of icing.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
No, you're pretty safe though,
All
using hockey terms. Does Tech have a D1 lacrosse team, or are they just club?
We only
Like
have
a men's
club
lacrosse team.
men's lacrosse team.
Okay.
Yeah, only
Yeah,
club.
that's the same as Old Dominion.
Yeah, same with us.
All right. Well, hey, Joe, I really appreciate the time, man. We got to do this again sometime soon, and hopefully I see you this summer. I'm not sure still where I'm going to be, but I might try and crash the party and join you at the Braves again.
I would love that. Hey, and for all you guys at ODU, you don't know how great Brian is. So you treat him well as he finishes his swan song.
Really appreciate that, Joe. Hey, thanks so much for doing this. Talk again soon, all right?
Sounds good.
All right, bud. There he goes. Joey Trincali. Go ahead and take a break. We had a pretty long segment there. It was good to talk baseball and wacky broadcasting bits, and dropped a nice little compliment from me there. I'm flattered. All right, so we'll take a break, come back, and we got a few things to get into, a little bit more baseball, and we're also going to talk about a 14-year-old who has qualified for the Masters and maybe what we were doing at the age of 14.
Yeah, and what have you done with your life?
Okay, well, that's all coming up on the Brian Gardner Show coming up next.
Triple cycle. I got a feeling like a tidal flow, but I know what I am, ain't no what the also let me be. Gasoline, saccharine. I got no reason for the state I'm in, but I know what I am, they know what the also let me be. Hotel, Taco Bell. I got the hit that you know damn well, but I know what I am, they know what the also let me be. Cut teeth, Beverly. I got a feeling that I'm underneath.
Intro music chosen by Max Venturo.
I figured you'd like that one.
Coming in, filling in for Mitchell Brown, who is he had to step away. I'm not going to say why he had to step away now because Sarah Brunke, who's continuing to listen after chiming in on the ODU basketball segment, told me to stop calling him out. She's supporting you, Mitch, if you're wherever you are right there. So you got a fan out there somewhere, someone helping you out.
Well, we're supporting you too, Mitch.
Yeah.
We don't want you to get in trouble.
No, we don't. No, we don't. And I didn't give any specifics, so I don't know any specifics. to
Right,
be honest
exactly.
with you.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, so I just had a my thanks once again to Joey Trincali of Hokies All Access IMG joining us. Also, he's pretty much the equivalent of me over there at Virginia Tech, but they don't have student radio. And also, a friend of mine who worked with him over the summer with the Herndon Braves. Good broadcaster, better person. And he joined us talking baseball and wacky broadcasting thing. We both have done women's lacrosse in the last week, and that was kind of fun to talk about. So my thanks to him once again for joining us. And let's talk about something else right now. There's a pretty interesting story coming out of the lead up into the Masters. If you're unaware, the first tournament of the season, the first major tournament of the season, the first tournament that casual golf fans will tune in for. That one's coming up, and that'll start Thursday, 4 rounds. So of course, Thursday and Friday, I believe, both on ESPN, and then it moves to CBS for the final 2 rounds on the weekend after the cut. And a 14-year-old has qualified for the Masters. I'm going to take a shot at pronouncing his name. He is of Asian descent. I'm not sure exactly where he's from. You have it as well, right?
He's coming out of China.
He's out of China.
I think it's
Guan Chunlang.
Yeah, Guan Chunlang.
That's what we're going with. My apologies if I butchered that. If anybody knows, please tell me.
Please
me.
call and correct us.
Tweet me at I'm Brian Gardner. You can call in 757-683-4405 and tell me. But this kid is 14 years old. He won't be able to drive the courtesy car they give all the players at these tournaments. But he's going to be driving the golf ball, and this begs the question. First of all, what were you doing at the age of 14, Max? And could you swing a golf club at that time? Can you swing a golf club now?
No. I mean, I could swing a golf club pretty well, and I could hit the ball probably 200 yards, but not in the direction that I wanted to. And when I'm April, when I was 14 years old, I was gearing up for, I think, my second season of playing baseball on a real diamond on a actual size field. I was in the 8th grade. I was a child. I was a child. I had just got done with my 8th grade wrestling season, and I was gearing up for my 8th grade season of baseball. And hitting 60 mile an hour fastballs. That's what I was doing. And this kid is driving the ball probably 300 yards, sinking 80-foot putts. Man.
Yeah,
good for him though.
I was being awkward I think I was a freshman in high school when I was 14, or actually no, I turned 14 my sophomore year of high school. I'm young.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was going into that, and I was trying to, getting ready for high school basketball. I was playing all that and trying to deal with acne problems. This
Yeah,
and that.
right.
I'd probably swung a golf club a few times in my life.
I think I kind of lucked out because I've been the same size since I was in like 7th or 8th grade, but you were probably like going through the whole puberty thing where your feet were a size 14 but you were still only 5'9".
I grew gradually, actually. I grew about 4 inches a year, and then when I got into high school, I think I was 6'2", 6'1.5", and I grew another
4 inches a year is quite a bit.
Yeah,
that's hardly gradual.
Well, it was constant though.
Oh, okay.
And I made it into high school, and I was about 6'1.5", 6'2", and I got up to 6'4" in my bare feet. So that's what I got up to. I didn't grow that much more in high school.
Well, good for you, jerk.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so there is no way I could have even fathomed golf etiquette, all that stuff, how to hit a draw or a fade. I mean, I play a little golf now, and this guy I'm sure would wipe the floor with me. Of course, he's playing in the Masters, but
yeah,
yeah.
I think when I was 14, I might have played one game of golf, and I probably only played 9 holes.
Yeah,
it's just, man. Even the sports that I was good at, I couldn't even think about being on the like the sports that I was good at, baseball, lacrosse, and wrestling. I couldn't even think about even playing varsity.
Well, that's the
in high school, and this kid is playing professional golf at age 14.
That's the interesting thing and the unique thing about golf. Something that I really enjoy seeing how It seems like every year we're talking about some young kid at one of these major tournaments, be it the U.S. Open or this year the Masters, and qualifying in there. You got the amateurs coming in the U.S. Open, and I think last year in the U.S. Open there was a kid who made a nice little run at it. And so I'm rooting for this. I mean,
Definitely, me too. I think
show us all up.
Anyone, the average sports fan doesn't really know that much about golf, and I'm one of those people. I could probably name 4 or 5 professional golf players, and I don't know. This upcoming season is definitely got, including this kid, has got some storylines. We got Tiger Woods is starting to come back into form. Whether or not you feel like he's a decent human being or not, the dude can play some golf, and this kid. What seems to happen with all these young phenoms, they're a big story when they qualify for a tournament, for a professional tournament, and then they are just kind of average or below average to start off, which makes sense. Dude's 14 years old playing against professional golfers who have been playing professional golf for longer than he's been able to speak. And then you got but they come in and probably below average professional golfer, but then he's 14, so 3 years of professional experience, he'll still only be 17, and he'll probably be about average to above average, and by the time he's a normal professional athlete's age, mid-20s, he's probably going to be a monster.
Right. Yeah, well that's what you would hope if someone that young he's not peaking
I'm just saying that the odds that he does very well in this tournament are pretty low.
He'll probably be an interesting story for the first day, and then he'll shoot like 7 over and he'll miss the cut.
Yeah,
all right, well, that was fun.
But who cares?
Yeah, he's 14 years old. He's playing Augusta.
Yeah, exactly.
My God,
they wouldn't
fantastic.
even let me into Augusta to play around. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man.
So once again, my question to all of you, I want to know, you can tweet me at I'm Brian Gardner, 757-683-4405. What were you doing when you were 14 years old, and have you accomplished as much as this kid in your life to date right now? Let's move on a little bit with this golf, and then we can it was gonna be a short segment. We'll come back and we'll probably finish up talking some baseball and some other random things. I don't think we're gonna do rapid fire with you. I don't want to throw you into the fire like that, because me and Mitch, we usually finish out. You watch sometimes, finish out bouncing questions off of each other, but I'm gonna be easy on you, and unfortunately we'll have a day without that one. But the Masters coming in, Tiger Woods has regained the #1 overall ranking, and he is coming in the favorite. He seems to have gotten his game back in order. He's healthy. He's dating Lindsey Vonn. Well, good for him. And it's he's coming in as the favorite. So Max, as a casual golf fan, I give you Tiger or the field. Who you taking?
I think for the season, I'm going to say Tiger. Tiger will have the best season. I think, putting on the green jacket is one of the most prestigious things in sports, and Tiger's already done it a couple of times. So I think I'm going to go with the field, but Tiger will be in the top 5.
Okay, so yeah, all right. Well, what if I gave you Tiger and Rory McIlroy or the field?
Rory McIlroy he's fun because he doesn't win. He just gets like second or third a lot. And
when he wins, he dominates, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. See, I don't know. I like watching Rory McIlroy. I root for him and stuff, but not only do you have a bunch of other guys who are right on the cusp of being as good as Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, you have it seems every tournament you have a guy who it just comes out of nowhere. Maybe it'll be Mr. Chen Lang here, but I'm just gonna have to, just on sheer odds alone, I'm just gonna have to go with the field. But I think both of them will be. I think Tiger will definitely be in the top 5, and McIlroy will probably be in the top 5.
You know what? I'm gonna be that overzealous, very excited idiot who said, if you give me Tiger and Rory against the field, I'll take those two, because I just want to play devil's advocate here. No, it's a smart pick doing what you're doing to say that. If I actually had that bet, I probably wouldn't make it. But
right. We're not putting money on it right now.
Those are the two I think that have the best chance of winning.
We're advising the public over if they're gonna put money on it. We're not putting money on it.
All right, well, before we go to a break here, I want to do one of our weekly segments here and give you the call of the week. Still no intro music to this. I've been promising that for like 2 months now, and I haven't done it yet. But this comes from Pete Mishu, voice of the Norfolk Admirals on 102.1 FM, 1490 AM. The game. This is back on Saturday. Admirals shorthanded, up 1-0 over the Binghamton Senators, and Patrick Maroon got a breakaway. Take a listen.
and dropped in by Brett Lebda back beyond the goal. Anderson to two-handed around the wall. Will it clear the zone? It will. Maroon at center has it down ice with one man to beat. Maroon cuts in, backhander, score! Short-handed goal, Patrick Maroon.
Pete Mishu, 1021 FM, 1490 AM, the game for the Norfolk Admirals. Patrick Maroon putting the Admirals up by a score of 2-0. All right, so we're going to go to a break here, come back, and we have a couple of things in the world of baseball to touch on, and as well as just I might force Max into an abbreviated rapid fire here because there's a couple of topics, and I'll make it easy on you because it's the signature.
Dude, I'm down. I'm up for it.
We're doing it. All right, so we're
doing it.
We're gonna hit because there were a couple of aces that were hit hard. We're gonna run down that in Major League Baseball, and then abbreviated rapid fire to finish out the show. Brian Gardner Show here on WODU. Don't go away.
Lawman is putting an end to my running, and I'm so far from my home. Oh, mama, I can hear you a-crying. You're so scared and all alone. Hangman is coming down from the gallows, and I don't have very long.
Brian Gardner's show, WODU. Max Ventura in for Mitchell, who had to step out after the first hour because of a request from a listener. I will not say why.
We won't say why anymore.
It's been a good show so far. Had Joey Trincali on to talk baseball and play-by-play stuff. I hope that I didn't bore you guys to tears with that inside broadcasting, but we're geeks about this stuff. Gave you the call of the week. Pete Mishu had it in the shorthanded goal. I actually was doing that game also as a demo. I was off in the stands, and my call that was pretty good also. His was better, of course, because he's a pro.
He literally is a professional. Gets paid to do
Been
it.
doing it for.
Yeah.
I'm semi-pro. I've been paid for a couple of gigs, but
Yeah.
not all of them. And yeah, I almost cut mine to play it as well, but it's still on the recorder. I didn't pull it off yet, but I was like, nah, that would be way too self-serving. I can't be the call of the week on something that wasn't even on the air. That would have been ridiculous.
That would have been a little bit
Oh
self-serving.
my goodness, I would have been like, what? I would have been mad at myself.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Everyone
It's a little
would've
bit much.
X'd out of the Ustream right there.
Yeah.
Housekeeping, some stuff. Rockaholics Anonymous.
Oh
Max,
yeah.
tell us about this.
Oh man, I can't believe I haven't plugged this yet. Yeah.
Well, you got it right here.
As Brian told you guys before, I have my own show. It's not a sports show. It's just a music show, and I
You guys talk also.
work in the rock department, and we talk a little bit. But the rock department is putting on a show on April 20th called Rockaholics Anonymous. It's going to be here in Webb Center over in North Cafe, and it's featuring The Alchemist, Dimensions, Secret Mark, Thomas and the Ferras, and Seth Steinbeck and Roosterfoot. And it's a completely free show, not like most of the things at ODU that they say are free where you have to like sign up. This is just open to the public.
Walk
if you
in.
want, walk into Webb Center, go into North Cafe and listen to music. And it's on a Saturday. It's going to go from probably 6 or 7 to about 11. I'll be there selling.
I'm gonna be there.
I'll be there selling merch.
I'll be
The
there
rest of
just
the rock
enjoying
department
it.
will be there, just be in the rock department.
Yep.
It's gonna be a grand old time. Tell your friends.
Yeah, it should be good. I'm looking forward to that. And Webb Center is going to be loud, so you might as well come and be part of the noise.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. You might as well come and enjoy it rather than sit around and be annoyed by it.
All right. Couple other things to plug before we move into the rapid fire, because me and Max talked about it over the break, and he's game, and we're gonna give it to you.
Yeah,
we're gonna give it to
seriously,
you pretty
come
much
on.
all around. But all right, there's one other sports show this week. We don't have any live broadcast. I talked about I did the lacrosse. I've done some baseball. I'm working with Monarch Media, and I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to simulcast, because I haven't seen any phone jacks in there, because we use our equipment. And I'd love to have it coming on WODU as well. But I gotta make sure if there's a phone line, that'll be coming up. But I'll plug that when it's coming up. But there's no live broadcast of any games here at ODU coming up this week. But Thursday from 1 to 3, bottom of the ninth, Matt McCartney and Chris Morgillo. They'll talk sports. And then must-listen radio or must-watch Ustream, whatever you want to call it. Maximum D
Maximum
Friday.
D Fridays from 2 to 3. That's my show. You can hear me talk about ridiculous things, and I'll be way funnier than I am today.
Because you're in your comfort zone. And once again, I'll send that link out for you followers here
and
from
also
the
kind of
recorded
out
show.
of-
That was funny.
Also, kind of out of respect for you, I don't want to be talking about the kind of things that me and
Yeah,
Dustin talk about.
yeah,
on
because
Maximum
we,
D.
we have a little bit different vibe here. I mean,
Yeah.
we toe the line at times, but I mean, this is something like my family listens to this and stuff. I know we don't want to get into some of the stuff you talk about.
My family listens to mine too, but
Okay.
that's a whole nother thing entirely.
Oh my goodness! All right, so without further ado, let's turn up the betting. There's you're ready for it. We're about ready to go. And Max, I'm gonna start you off by throwing you one here with some rapid fire here, and we'll start off in your wheelhouse with some Major League Baseball. Freddie Freeman, first baseman for the Atlanta Braves. Well, he is heading to the DL with a strained oblique. He is not happy about it. According to Mark Bowman, Braves beat writer for MLB.com, he tweeted, "To say Freeman is mad they placed him on the DL is an understatement. He hurt the oblique last Sunday during a workout, and he has been playing through it and playing pretty well." for that matter. And Max, just your thoughts on this. I mean, does Freddie Freeman have some beef, or should he
Well,
quiet up and get ready for the season?
Any player who gets put on the DL against their wishes, I totally feel it. I understand, and I understand that you're mad, but you also got to understand that the Braves are 5-1. So basically, right now they're just rolling like it's spring training still. You know, they're being careful with their star first baseman Freddie Freeman. They want Freddie Freeman to hit 40 home runs, steal 15 bases, hit in 100 RBIs, and he's not going to be able to do that if he's got a torn oblique that he just keeps messing with, you know, day after day. So I think yeah, he's got some beef, but he's also got to realize that the Braves are still in spring training mode because they're just whooping up on everybody right now.
Play 162 games. He's an important part of a team that looks like they're going to be a title contender. Hush up, go get healthy, and come back and play. Even though, as someone who doesn't enjoy the Atlanta Braves and their exploits, I wouldn't be too torn up if maybe he had to miss some time and had a poor season. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, that's not cool, but that's not very nice of you. But
I'm not wishing him ill, but if he take your time.
Isn't he on your fantasy team?
Yeah, but those are some things that are a little bit more important. I'll try and trade him. Maybe. All right, throw one at me. Man.
All right. So this seems to happen every couple of years in the NFL. The second tier quarterbacks all get mixed around. Matt Flynn went to the Raiders. Carson Palmer's on the Cardinals. Ryan Fitzpatrick is on the Titans, and Kevin Kolb is on the Bills. Of those four guys, who has the best season?
That's tough. You know, for some reason.
I mean, I suppose none of them is also an option. Like, they're all going to have terrible seasons.
For some reason, I've always thought Kevin Kolb was going to be better than he was. And I know you're a Bills guy, and me saying that, yes, you get a little fist pump right there. But also, Matt Flynn, his sample size is so small, but when he played, it was he looked fantastic. But the thing that holds me up about him is the fact that the Seahawks went out and they spent so much money on that guy, and then he couldn't beat out Russell Wilson for the starting job, a guy they picked in the 3rd round.
Well, but then look at what Russell Wilson did.
That's true.
Though,
That's true. But that's why I'm looking at it, and I think it might be Matt Flynn with the Raiders, which is shocking to me that those words are coming out of my mouth.
That the Raiders and a positive notion are coming out at the same time. Yeah.
But the other ones that are possible for me would be that Kevin Kolb. I mean, because I don't think Carson Palmer or Ryan Fitzpatrick are gonna do anything. But Kevin Kolb, for some reason, I sort of believe in him, and he had a couple of decent games in Arizona. He just couldn't stay healthy.
He just got hurt. The Arizona was looking not terrible at the beginning of last season, and then. It's funny. The team that he got injured against was the Bills.
This is hilarious and awesome timing. This is coming across Twitter from Pro Football Talk of NBC Sports. Kevin Kolb, quote, "I'm in Buffalo to win a Super Bowl, period."
Ha! What a guy, dude. He's so much better than Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I guess isn't really saying that much, but I'm excited. I'm excited to have him at least until we're going to draft a quarterback. The Bills. When I say we, the Bills are going to draft a quarterback.
He's from upstate New York. He's allowed.
The Bills are going to draft a quarterback in this draft, and Kevin Kolb is a seasoned veteran, and he's going to be. I feel like he's going to lead the Bills to at least a couple of winning seasons, even if those winning seasons are only 9-7, and he'll be a good bridge between whatever the heck has been happening in Buffalo and the next big quarterback, which is looking like it's going to be Nassib, but that's a whole nother thing entirely.
All right, let's move on. I'm gonna shoot you with a soccer one because I saw you put this on your list, and if you asked me, I'd be like, oh god, no, I have no idea. Manchester United and Manchester City, they play today, 3:00, I believe, in the Premier League or the Champions League. Is it
the Premier? Well, yeah, the Premier League.
Okay, the Premier League. They play. All right. Who you got in that one? I know it's a big-time rivalry.
It is a big-time rivalry, and Man City right now is 15 points back in the Premier League, so it doesn't mean as much as it usually does. So I'm thinking United will probably pull it out, but even if they don't, it doesn't really matter that much. United's already out of the FA Cup and the Capital One Cup. Man City is still in the FA Cup, but they don't really. Neither of those teams really care about that. It's all about the Premier League Championship, and that's what Man U is looking like they're gonna end up going home with at the end of this season. So I'm thinking Man U, but I think just because of the rivalry, it'll be a close game. Probably one goal either way.
I'm gonna take your word for it because I don't know. I'm far from an expert on this topic. You can own the soccer for this
Right.
rapid fire segment.
All right, I got one for you.
All right.
Alexander Ovechkin has recently taken the lead in goals scored this season. Do you think he is a candidate or the candidate for the Hart Trophy this season?
It's interesting. Ovechkin, he had a hat trick over the weekend. He also had 2 goals yesterday in the Washington Capitals victory. The Capitals, who looked like they were dead in the water. They were the last team to win a game this season after the lockout shortly. But Ovechkin, and he looked bad, but he's resurgent. He's scoring like 60% of their goals right now.
I'm gonna have to agree. I watched a lot of hockey right at the beginning of the season before baseball season got underway and the World Baseball Classic and stuff, and I was watching some of the Caps, and they were just looking bleak. Ovechkin was not himself, and I don't know why. I don't know if he was hurt or whatever, but he was just – it was not good.
Okay,
but he's looking good now.
He's looking good, and he is a Hart Trophy candidate, which is surprising to say after how bad he was at the start. There is a stat I want to throw out to you. And this is interesting because, in my mind, I believe the candidate is still Sidney Crosby, even if he doesn't play another game this season. I hear you sighing. Listen to me, though. The dude is still leading the NHL in scoring by about 7 points. He hasn't played in like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Now continue.
I gotta continue with this. Points versus current playoff teams of the guys who are at the top and up top in scoring. John Tavares of the New York Islanders 14. Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals 10. Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins 32.
And I know you mentioned that I side. It's not because I disagree with you. It's because I don't want him to.
Yeah, a lot of hockey fans are that way. There's something funny that I was talking with my mom, actually. My mom's from Pittsburgh. She brainwashed me as a Pittsburgh sports fan. I was thinking when Crosby, he lost some teeth when he took that shot to the face with a puck. And I was thinking, well, maybe some people will hate him a little bit less because they can't call him a pretty boy anymore. And she's I don't think anyone's going to hate him any less.
No one's going to hate him any less. It's because of the winter. I hate him because of the Winter Olympics this last go around because he played for Team Canada or whatever, and they somehow managed to beat Team USA after Team USA just annihilated them in the round robin.
My joke out of that was every fan in America, every city in America was saying, "Oh, anyone but Crosby," and every except for Pittsburgh that said, at least it was Crosby. All right, one more stat on Ovechkin. He's scored 16 of the Caps' 45 goals since March 14th. At that point, according to someone's statistics, the Caps were at a 10% chance to make the playoffs. Now 80. He's a legit candidate. All right, Max, let's move on.
All right.
You want to go to me or should I go to you?
We'll just do me first.
Okay.
This is an easy one for anyone to really answer. Not easy, but
Okay.
It's an opinion question. Give me your Cy Young and MVP for both leagues, baseball this season.
All right, let's just go gut reflex out of the National League. We talked about this when Joey was on. Bryce Harper, front runner right now because people seem to be enamored with the guy, and he has been excellent to start out. I'm going to go with Clayton Kershaw, who had that great opening day as the NL Cy Young.
Oh, man, we didn't talk about that. That was fantastic. If anyone could possibly upstage Bryce Harper's 2 home runs in opening day, it was Clayton Kershaw's shutout, and also he hit a home run.
And in the AL, I'll go veteran former Cy Young pitcher and young star. Again, even though Mike Trout's been very slow to start out, I think the Angels are going to be good, and Trout's going to be the centerpiece of that extremely overpriced lineup. And then go Justin Verlander and be a hometown ODU bias.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with JV just because the ODU and everything, and also he is the best pitcher in the league.
He really is
in both leagues. So anytime you pick Justin Verlander win a Cy Young preseason, it's a good bet. And I think that Mike Trout he's not going to play as well as he did last season. And also the problem that he's going to have is he's going to be overshadowed by the rest of that lineup. You've got 2 former MVPs in that lineup. Josh Hamilton has won an MVP, and Albert Pujols has won 8,000 MVPs. So it's going to be tough for him to shine. But I still think that and the MVP of the American League will come out of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. It'll either be Hamilton, Pujols, or Trout.
All right. Bold.
Yeah, I think that'll be what would happen. And in the NL, I think I'm gonna give it to Steven Strasburg, even though he got railed yesterday. I think he's gonna come out and have a 220 strikeout season, win 20 games, and I think he'll end up with the Cy Young and the
I
MVP.
hope you're right.
In the MVP, I'm tentative to give it to Bryce Harper just because the sophomore slump is something that always happens to rookie sensations. It happened to Griffey. It happened to A-Rod. I think Bryce Harper will win more than one MVP in his career, but
Not this year?
But it's not going to be this year. I think it'll either be Votto or McCutcheon, and I don't really like Joey Votto, so I'm going to say McCutcheon.
I like that. I like hearing that. That's good because the Pirates, the other team that I follow outside the Nationals.
Yeah.
So even though they've looked awful, and McCutcheon's the only one actually hitting the ball for them. I think he's the only one over 200, which is disgusting. But all right, there's a couple of more. We might go over a minute or two here, but there's two that I really want to get to. Former Rutgers athletic director. You remember Rutgers and their coach throwing the basketballs at people's heads? That happened this last week. We didn't really talk about that. But their athletic director, he was fired, Tim Pernetti. But he's in a settlement agreement getting $1.2 million in salary, an iPad, car allowance, more than 2 years of health insurance under this settlement agreement. I mean, Max, how ridiculous is this?
Completely looking at that and only that, it's completely ridiculous. And obviously he needed to be fired because of the crap that went on with his basketball coach. But at the same time, it's like that was probably in his contract.
You think
already? And that's kind of. I mean, it sucks.
Why is an iPad in there though? That's the one thing I want to know.
I don't know. That's like. I don't know. I feel like that's whoever was in charge of writing up that contract is like Scott Boras and
the AD. Crap in there.
The AD was just like, I really need an iPad.
There's a funny This Is Sports Center commercial with Scott Boras and like Scott Van Pelt. And there's something like, if he wins a Sportscaster of the Year award, he gets to wear a Snuggie on air. He's like, we're gonna need the Snuggie. It's funny. I'm not doing it justice. All right. But
yeah.
I just think it's funny.
Same kind of thing as that, or it's like in Tropic Thunder when Matthew McConaughey's character is all worried about the TiVo.
Yeah.
It's like.
All right. One thing before we move on, there's one more I want to get to, but out of that, he's going to need that money because no one's going to hire that guy ever again. That's
definitely.
Yeah, he's done. He's going to have to work at McDonald's or something. One more thing I want to get to before we give you who you got tonight, because you didn't tell us in the national championship game. Winter Classic coming back next year. It will be the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Detroit Red Wings at the Big House, Michigan University. Happy to see it back.
Definitely. Winter Classic is something that's really awesome, and I was planning on going to the one in Michigan this year, but then it didn't happen.
Are you going? You gonna try and go next year?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not gonna know as many people in Michigan anymore after next season, so we'll see.
The Winter Classic is cool. The only person I think who didn't have a good time at the Winter Classic, Sidney Crosby, when he got that concussion.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, before we go to who I got tonight, I got something for you.
All right, real quick.
Okay, so I know you've. Have you done any Norfolk Tides games?
No.
Okay, but I was at a Norfolk Tides game the other day, and I noticed that on their pitching staff is a man named Freddie Garcia. And I don't know if you know.
I know Freddie Garcia.
You know who Freddie Garcia is? He was a Cy Young candidate for a couple of years, and I know we were talking about with Joey that the Baltimore Orioles really are looking for a pitcher to step up. What are the odds that Freddie Garcia gets into the rotation and Freddie Garcia does well?
I bet he gets in because of how bad their rotation has been, but I don't know about doing well, to be honest with you, because if he's down in AAA with that rotation, he didn't make that squad out of spring training with their rotation. I don't know how well he's going to do, but he'll come up and he'll have a couple of starts at least. That's what I think.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, just because the Orioles rotation is so dismal.
All right, Louisville, Michigan. Who you got tonight?
Well, I'm thinking it's going to be Louisville, but in my bracket I have Michigan.
Okay.
And I'm going to be really rooting for Michigan, but if I had to put money on it, it would be Louisville.
I'm rooting for Michigan as well because I don't want the number 1 overall seed to win it, but I also think Louisville. Mitch had Michigan, by the way. All right, well, that's going to do it for Rapid Fire. We're actually a couple of minutes over. You got 3 extra minutes of the show with Max sitting in. And
lucky you.
Yeah, and, well, that's going to do it for us. As we get this music to advance here. There it goes. This is the outro.
This is the outro?
Every
Foxy
time.
Shazam? Good.
Always. I know you guys love Foxy.
We love Foxy Shazam. This song is actually on NHL Hits.
NHL 13.
Not NHL Hits, NHL 13.
Yeah, I heard that before, and then I saw it on here, and I was like, because they bleep out part of it.
Right, the best part of the song.
Yeah,
they don't bleep it out, they just don't say
it. Yeah, they just leave it out. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, my thanks to Mitchell Brown, who had to leave early. Thanks to Joey Trincali for joining us for a pretty long segment, and thanks to Max Ventura for filling in. It was fun, man.
Hey, man, it was a pleasure.
All right, well, I'll keep you in the bullpen when we need you again. But
let me know.
All right,
I'll be here.
For Max, Mitch, and Joey, I'm Brian. See you next time.
Peace.